Welcome to the fall, apparently. I woke up to thunder today. I don't know about the rest of you. We don't get that very often up here, but just a couple of announcements before I introduce today's speaker. There will be a roundtable today, 4 o'clock, right? Dr. Galvez hard? Yep. There is a roundtable. Just confirming that you're up for the 4 o'clock roundtable today, right? Yes, awesome. Yes, so there will be a roundtable today. And there's one other FYE event announcement I want to make, and that is next Tuesday, there will be an FYE film, okay? Everybody here with me? This is a film called Moonlight, and Professor Hester Williams will be introducing the film and leading discussion and so forth. So that's next Tuesday. I'm sorry I didn't write down exactly what time it is. Okay, I'm sure your faculty can help you find that. It's like early afternoon, or early evening, usually in the Cooperage. But confirm that, okay? So today's lecturer is Dr. Ellie Galvez Hard. Yay! She's awesome. I've known Ellie for a long time, and it's an incredible privilege and treat to have her with us. She is a professor of education, having worked for a long time in the field of multicultural and multilingual education, often in community settings and with people of all different age levels, right? Yeah. She has her doctorate of education from University of San Francisco, and she attended Humboldt State, as I did too, for both BA and MA. Yeah, me too. Here at SSU, she teaches courses in education in general, multicultural education specifically, and she also has done about 18,000 other things at Sonoma State University and elsewhere in the community and in educational settings. For instance, she worked for NASA as a consultant and a diversity coordinator. She worked for something called the Teacher Diversity Project here at Sonoma State. It's a very important position that had her working both here and kind of all over the county, right? Working directly with schools and students. She's taught in many venues to many levels and demographics. Her research studies linguistic awareness and academic needs of migrant students from particular regions in Mexico. And so this, I think, is a really, really, really important speaker for us to have today. This is a time in history when students and their families who come from countries to the south, particularly those who do not have documentation, are under great threat and stress, and I think Dr. Galvez Hard can really help us understand that. Please give a warm FYE welcome to Dr. Ellie Galvez Hard.
Done? Yes. How are you? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo se va? I'm too feisty for this thing. Okay, I'm going to try to hold it the best I can. And yes, I was born in a country that is very slim, very tall, very long and skinny. We are known by earthquakes, and this is a demonstration of it. How do I clip this guy? Hold on. Oh, I see, I got it. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to behave now. Yeah, okay, now I'm ready. So anyway, I was born in a skinny and long country in South America. It looks like a chili pepper. What is that? Chile, Santiago, Chile. And I was born there many, many years ago. And I was about 16 years old when my life had a total turn at home. I come from a very poor background, and I grew up with a stepfather. And my mom had me when she was very young, at 21, and I had 3 older brothers. And unfortunately, my father abandoned my mom when she was pregnant with me. So I never grew up with my real father. So at 2 years old, I grew up with a stepfather. So life was not the best at home. There was always a lot of issues going on. But opportunity came my way in the form of a tall American gringo. I was 16, he was 17, so he walks into my youth group at church, and I'm a tall Latina. I'm like, I came out of my mother's side of the family, we're all tall and kind of slim. And I could never find a boyfriend that would be taller than I was at that time. So when I saw this tall, handsome guy, I grabbed him fast. No, I didn't. We just got to know each other. So it was really hard for my mother to let me go as soon as I finished high school to come to this country by myself. And being that I was the girl out of the family that was setting it up for my siblings to maybe continue to go to school or whatever, I had a lot of responsibility on me. But I was fortunate because I came to a country that otherwise, if I would have stayed in Chile, being poor, not having connections with people in places of power, I had a very slim chance to succeed. But because I came here, my new identity as a foreigner gave me the opportunity to really explore and appreciate what was in front of me. But it's not until you go away from your own places. How many of you have experienced culture shock just coming here to Sonoma State? Right? Culture shock is when you go and everything that you see is different to what you're used to. Sometimes even the smell in this area, it smells like cow fertilizer, yes? And you get used to it. This is a very rural university, so you're gonna go ahead and might go into shock eventually. The other thing is that there are a lot of, if you have allergies, this is the place to have it. Mr. Ronard planted many, many trees and many shrubs, so if you're allergic to something, this is the place. So like my colleague said, I teach in the School of Education. It didn't come very easy for me to be standing in front of you today. When I came, when I explained to you that I came, I did not know a word of English. In fact, I had 4 years of French, but I didn't fall in love with a Frenchman. I fell in love with an American boy whose first language was English, right? So as soon as I finished high school, I came over and I joined him in Los Angeles. He was already here, starting college, and we got married at the same time. I was barely 18, he was 19. Don't do it, I don't regret it, but it's pretty young. So we kind of grew together, and we had 2 children. My first son was born in Germany when he was in the Army, and my daughter Sarah, who's turning 33 this September 16, she was born in Oregon. Anybody from Oregon? No? So anyway, that's my little family. Like I said to you, growing up with a stepfather was not easy. And we never had enough of anything because we're so many of us. Later on, my stepdad and my mom had 3 more children, so we were 7. So I was right in the middle, 3 up and 3 down. But it was really difficult growing at home, and my stepfather was very possessive with my mom, and we couldn't even communicate with her, and that created a lot of issues in the family. So I was really glad to leave home in many ways. And it was an opportunity for me to come and do my own identity, my own life ahead of me. Yes? So I started the identity as a Chilena, being born in Chile, and then a fiancé, and then my next identity here is as a new wife, and eventually I started taking courses in ESL, English as a Second Language. One day after 8 years, it took me 8 years, because that's how long it takes for any academic language to be learned on any second language. It takes about 8 years for you to master the language academically. A lot of people that come from different countries, they can speak orally, they can communicate orally, but it's not until you read the word, because what you read is different in the way we speak. So the academic language is the written word that is in the books, the textbooks that you use. And in order for you to master that, you have to learn the proper language in that specific area that you are going to be mastering as a freshman, or with a BA, or whatever, in your area of study. So I knew I had to move on. It was really hard. I remember crying myself to sleep on the first years, especially the first few months. I miss my friends. I miss my family. I miss my food. I miss the smells. I miss walking with my friends arm in arm, doing things, just sitting by the plaza and having a chat. We didn't have computers at that time. We didn't have TV at that time, and we didn't have cell phones at that time. So it was all about relationships. So I missed that, because I felt I could not communicate with others because of my lack of language. I couldn't communicate with others because they couldn't understand if I wanted to say hello and kiss them on the cheek. That wouldn't be appropriate, because that's what we do in my country. Boys and girls, they kiss each other when they meet, and we're very touchy. We touch a lot. And here was not allowed. People would go, oh, wait, give me my space. And that was really difficult to do. So I knew at the time that I brought my backpack with me. How many of you have your backpack? Yes? All of you have your backpacks? And actually, what you have in your backpack says a lot about you. Yes or no? If you lose your backpack, you panic, right? My husband just came back from fishing in Alaska, and as he was putting things on top of the cart to carry his luggage, when he got in the car, he realized that his backpack with the computer and all his things were missing. And he's totally distressed because of it. Tomorrow we're going to SFO, and we're going to see if someone turned it in, because he had zillions of hours doing things. He's, besides being a physician, he's also a fiction writer. So he has chapters in there. He's also a photographer, so he's got zillions of pictures in there that he wanted to show me. We were recently in Italy, and he was making a book, an iBook, to give me for as a present, he said, and he was really bummed out about that. So I want you to go ahead and just take 1 minute and talk to the person that you didn't come with, and let them know what you have in your backpack. One thing that you got in your backpack that you cannot live without, real quickly. I hope you kept it legal. No, I'm kidding. Don't share the illegal stuff. So that's who we are. And all of us, when we come from different places, even if it's not in a backpack, we bring the invisible backpack with all of who we are as people. Yes? And that identity is carried with you within and also in a material way. How many of you are on Facebook? Okay, I also have a Facebook, and I was going to put my Facebook on top, but I said, nah, I'm going to have you go ahead and meet me. I have about 5 or 6 different pages because I'm a very social butterfly, and I do different pages for different things that I do. And just like Scott said, I'm involved in all kinds of things out in the community, including Carlos and I, my colleague, Dr. Carlos Torres, and I were also part of the union for the lectures here at Sonoma State. So that's another important identity that I have. So just to go back, it was really hard as a person bringing a backpack full of goodies from my own country, my own culture, that it was not appreciated. It's like I didn't belong to a club because I didn't have some of the things that you commonly have, which is the language skills, things that you do, and it was really difficult. And that was the process of culture shock that I had to go through. But I knew that I was going to stay in this country. This was my new home. And the only way I was going to get forward was to study the language and become an educated person. So I started the process learning the language, and then at 25, my son came. Little Paul, in Germany. He was born in Germany. Well, he was in the army, so we were there. So I asked my doctor, I said, doctor, what language should I speak to my child? My first language is Spanish. My husband's language is English. And and we're going to be in Germany for the next 3 years. So guess what this doctor of babies, of course, you know, OBGYN, answered me. He said, I wish he would have done that. But he said, stick to one language, otherwise the child will get confused. That's the biggest lie I've ever known. And now that I'm educated, my passion for mother tongue has been the #1 thing in my life, in my career. In fact, my whole dissertation, just like Scott mentioned, is having that sensitivity towards others that do not speak the main language, the dominant language that is English. A lot of us that speak with an accent, we have other identity, other life, other languages that we communicate with. Yes? And accents are good. Accents show that you are not monolingual. And we have not done a very good job here in the United States about educating all of our students about the importance of knowing another language. Maybe 2, 3, yes? And we also, it's not the best time to learn a second language when you go to high school. How many of you learned a second language in high school? Wrong. That's the worst time to learn a second language. You're concerned about other things, your hormones, you know, and all this, and the girls and the boys, you know, all this stuff. And you are past the threshold of learning a second language well. So unfortunately, a lot of our ancestors did not create that space for you to go ahead and continue speaking in a different language than English. Yes? How many of you come from ancestors that did not speak English as the first language? Look at you. So there you have it. So it's no reason why we should not keep that. But we did not know what we know today about the importance of learning a second language. In fact, research shows that Alzheimer's can be prevented by 3 things: reading for fun, learning a second language, and drinking 3 cups of coffee a day. So my friend, who is well-known, Stephen Krashen, who is a doctor in bilingualism, his father was suffering of Alzheimer's. And he started doing this with him, and he noticed an amazing, amazing recovery of memory, and how is it that his mind started recuperating a lot of the lost memory that he was suffering as an Alzheimer's. So think about that. Think about that. And reading should be done for fun, not just your textbooks, but find books, real books, smelly books, that you can really turn the pages and stuff. Because that's the way we learn language. That's the way we learn vocabulary. That's the way we learn how to write better. I grew up without books because my parents couldn't afford to buy books. So now I'm passionate about books. I have to have bookcases. I have to have books. When I see books that people are giving, I'm always walking away with books. I cannot go to Barnes & Noble or Copperfield and not walk out without a book. I'm a bookworm now because I didn't have books growing up. And books are amazing. My night table has 5 different books with 5 different interests, but that is really, really important for you to find out what's your passion, and find and read for fun. It's really important. So I moved to Santa Rosa in 1996. After 25 years of marriage, my marriage fell apart, and I moved to Santa Rosa. And it was in Santa Rosa I was going to do my taxes when I was crossing a street. I was driving on the street, and a policeman comes this way with his flashlight. And even though I had a green light to go forward, I had to stop. The police had he was turning, so he was going to go right in front of me. So I stopped. Person behind me did not. Boom, smashed my little Mitsubishi at the time. So I suffered pretty bad neck injury, and I ended up going to an emergency room. And it was at this emergency room that I met my current husband. He was an ER physician, and he was there to take care of me. And as soon as he put his hand on my, no, it was magic. No, it's just what it was. So we've been together since then, 1998. So we fused our families together, and now we have 5 grown children. And I'm going to be a grandma in November. I used to color my hair brown. And when my son got married, finally, he got married, I said, okay, I'm ready to be a grandma. Where's my child? So finally, November is coming, and I'm going to be the grandmother of my first little girl, and I'm looking forward to that. So I want you to go ahead and just take 1 minute and talk to the person next to you and tell them who influenced you to be here today. Who gave you that push to be here today? Give 2 minutes each and talk to each other real quick. people influence our lives at different times in our life. But I think my mother, out of all the people, she was even though she did not have a formal education, she grew up in an orphanage from 3 years old. She was a single mom with 4 kids, abandoned by her husband. She was an amazing artist. And she learned how to she went up to, I think, at eighth grade. But she was an amazing, amazing woman. She was rich in the way that she made people feel so welcoming and comfortable. My little house was always full of younger women who would come to my mother as a mentor. When my mother passed away, she died of pancreatic cancer at my age, actually. She died young because of pancreatic cancer. There were so many people that went to her funeral that they had to rent buses. And she was just a person out in the community. She belonged to a club, the Abuelitas, grandmother's club, and they needed things for the poor, and they did all kinds of things out in the community. And because of that, she was known in the community as almost, like a loving kind of a person. And the relationships that created as she was growing up as an elderly person, she was able to connect with so many people. She touched so many lives. And that's the richness that we should seek. Material things, here, today, and gone. Look what's happened with Harvey, with the 2 tornadoes, Irma and Harvey, yes? All these fires going on, all this stuff. People, they lose all the material things. But you always hear that. But I'm happy that I'm alive. I'm happy that my family is with me. I'm happy that we were able to survive this storm. Because that's where the richness is, in having the closeness of other family members, friends, and community. It's all about relationships. Yes? It was my friend Scott Miller who helped me get my doctoral degree. I applied a couple of times after getting here at Sonoma State for the Forgivable Loan Program. It's a program that you can apply for a scholarship, and they give you money to go to school. But you have to pay it back by serving in a CSU system. That's called the Forgivable Loan Program. So I tried the first time, and the second time I came to Scott, and I said, Scott, I need your help. Because my first language is English, it's not English, and I always need extra editing because I don't trust myself, especially when you have to write a formal paper or a formal letter. You always need some help. Don't do it by yourself. You have help here. And that's why it's so important. Not only that, but you are connecting, creating connections with people that might be better at math, might be better at English, and you can create that relationship with others that can help for you to be successful here at Sonoma State. So the second time I applied, I did get my scholarship, and they awarded me $30,000 to start my PhD at the University of San Francisco. I know I have overcome many barriers, including the 3 major ones that my own professor in my doctoral program said. Ellie, you're going to have a hard time finishing this program. You have 2 things going against you. You are a Latina, you are a woman, and you speak with an accent. What should I do about that? I said, I am who I am. This is me. This is my entire identity as a woman, as a Latina, as a person that speaks a second language. So tell a feisty Chilean that they can do something, because we push forward even harder. We were not born behind the Andes Mountains, hanging to not fall into the ocean for nothing. So the resilience that we have, the natural resilience, is huge. So moving forward, I knew I had to move forward. I knew it was not easy. I almost believed this professor when he told me that. But when you have the ganas, when you have the motivation to become who you want to be, it will push you forward, and you're going to go ahead and do it. But don't do it alone. The university here has an amazing, amazing support. I wish I would have had what you have in this program to help you and support you and walk you through your first years of college. The reason why I was in a junior college for 8 years is because I didn't have this. And this is amazing, and I love the program. When I first came to Sonoma State, this used to be called, what is it? It was called EMT. EMT, you know, like emergency, but it stands for Educational Mentoring Team. And I was part of that when I first came to Sonoma State. So I remember working with Cindy Morishumi, yeah, Joe, a lot of people that are still around working with you. And Scott, of course, he's been part of that as well. So, why am I telling you all this? Should you care? I do not know, but I want to underline the importance of who we are, who you are. I was 18, 19 when I first came to this country. Probably a lot of you are at that age right now, or just a little more. But it was, it takes time to get to know others. When I first came to the podium, you didn't know what you know now about me. And there are a lot of people that you come in contact with here at Sonoma State that you see them go by, but you do not really know them. And it's becoming harder and harder to have relationships because we tend to hide now behind our phones and our techno machines that have no feelings for us. They don't love us like other people would love us that, you know, that have blood running through their veins. Computers are cold, yes? And you can hide behind them, you can hide behind your cell phones, but believe me, the relationships that you create at this time in your life will help you shape who you will become, or you're becoming already as an adult. And how is it that you're going to contribute to this society, to the future of the United States, or whatever it is that you plan to go ahead and explore who you want to become as a person. Yes? And it's really important that you at least know who is the person sitting next to you. I know a lot of my students, I'm famous because in all my classes, my students, we always have food, number one. I call them snackos. And secondly, we always have continuously, we do all kinds of activities so we can get to know each other well. Marriages have come out of my classes. So it's really important that you get to know, and not just superficially, but get to know each other. All of us come with backpacks full of goodies, and we need to know what is it that you have in common, the similarities, what are the differences, so you can learn from new things, or new people, or new experiences. It's really important. Everyone has multiple identities, yes? When I'm with my class, I have the identity of the professor. When I'm with my Chilean tea club, we sit around the table, I put my Chilean hat as the fun Latina woman who we laugh before we finish the sentence, we're laughing about what we speak about. You know, just it really, so I have another one that I'm gonna have to put on as a grandmother. So, you know, all these different identities, how is it that we are experiencing in our lives. It's really important. So it is our gender, our race, our religion, and ability that make us who we are. We cannot separate one of the other. Yes? We are who we are, just like I couldn't separate being who I was when I was doing my doctorate program. What was I to do? How am I going to get rid of the accent? After you learn a second language after age 12, you're stuck with an accent, no matter what. Because it's before that threshold that the cognition to learn the sounds that is developed in your system, in your brain, in your brain. So it's really hard for me to do that. So the second one was, I'm a Latina. I'll always be a Latina, no matter what. It hasn't been easy being a Latina and being a woman and being also a leader in my own communities. But it's okay, because I know what drives my passion. I know who I am as a woman, as a Latina, as a second language learner, as a professor, as a wife, as a grandmother, all these things, all these identities that I have upon myself. I'm going to ask you to do one more parent share. Turn to the person next to you and tell them, what is the next thing that you're looking forward to in your life? Do you have a goal? Do you have a plan? If you don't, just let them know. I don't know. You're not supposed to know. Thank you. Lastly, I wanted to ask you, what makes you happy? What makes you happy? What makes you happy? Think of this time, when you're the happiest, during the day, during the week, or maybe when you go home, maybe when you smell something that is very familiar to you, or something. What makes you happy? That is our goal. All of us want to be happy, yes? And happiness is not just money, it's not just material things, but again, it's about knowing others and helping others and finding that in helping others, there's a tremendous satisfaction of giving a little bit of yourself. And it doesn't have to be in a regular, formal way. One best way that we can help each other, even as newcomers to this wonderful university, is just by being polite and friendly. Say hello to each other. Smile to each other. Sometimes that's all it takes for people to connect. And sometimes we get lost in the, the shuffle and the business of our everyday lives. But it's really, don't wait for other people to come to you and learn to have a relationship with them. But you are the one that need to go to other people. There's shy people that never, I was very shy as a young person because I grew up in a very teacher-centered community. The teacher was at the front. She did all the talking and teaching, and the students just had to copy and memorize. There was very little sharing, and that's the old school of teaching. When I came to the US and realized how different we learn here, and how is it that you can have this type of activities. You can do all kinds of different things and get to know each other and participate and have a voice. That is huge. And then you can also find how is it that you can have a voice and influence in your own communities where you live, where when you go home, or here at Sonoma State. Not only as sororities, but there's all kinds of things going on in our immediate community. And by giving yourself, giving your time, maybe helping a peer that is not doing well in math or English, or just doing the homework together, just studying together. We are social beings, and we are taking that away from our environment by having the social media regulate who we are as people. And that shouldn't be. What's going to happen? I go to restaurants sometimes, and I see 4 people sitting at a table, each one of them with a phone instead of talking to each other. I've seen couples at fancy restaurants sitting in front of each other with their phones on. If I didn't have a regulation in my own classes, I think all my students would also be on their phones. But that's, if you have your phone on, it's not, and that's my time to shut up. Yeah? Five minutes? Okay. So, I want you to just stand up right now, real quickly, and, oh, come on. I want you to move around for just a few minutes. We only have 5 minutes left. But I want you to find one person that has been coming to these meetings and you've been dying to talk to them or get to know them. Go find someone and talk to them. Come on, don't be shy. Go for it. Muy bien, gracias. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, was that too hard to do? No, right? So I hope you can go ahead. You know, you're the future. Sonoma State in 4 years, I hope you can finish in 4 years. Sometimes, you know, we don't offer all the courses that you're supposed to get for your majors, and we might stretch it out a little bit. But we are here to help you. We are here to support you. And you are the future of this amazing country, this amazing, you know, planet. What's going on in the planet is getting tired, and we have done, and I say we, the baby boomers have done a really bad job keeping this planet healthy for you. And I apologize in the name of all the people that came before me. So it's your job now to find out how is it that you can make an impact on this planet and preserve it, because someday you're going to have your own grandchildren. And you want them to have a clean planet. You want them to be able to open the faucet and drink fresh water. Florida right now, after the hurricane, they do not have electricity or water. The same with Texas, Houston, Texas. Can you imagine that, living without water and electricity? We can't, because some of us have not gone through that. Unless, you know, you are living out of your car, but I doubt it you are. But it's not something that we can survive. So find out what's going on with your peers. Find out who's the person sitting next to you. Find out how is it that you can go ahead and make an impact in all you do. And that is a selfish thing to do, because you are the only one that will benefit positively about this. And that's going to bring true happiness, because it's only in giving that we can go enrich our own lives. So I hope you do that. And you can find me in the School of Education. I have a really nice office now in the International Hall. And if you want to become a teacher, let me know. I'm also the recruiter. So I want all my bilingual. Let me see, how many of you are bilingual? We are desperate for bilingual teachers, so come and talk to me. I want to recruit you. I want to get you into becoming a teacher. We need special ed teachers. How many of you like special ed, working with special ed? There you have it. Math, how many of you are good at math? So there you have. You know the reason why we're not good at math? Because our teachers were not good at math. They never pushed us to be better at math. So my future scientists, my mathematicians, my engineers, we have an amazing engineering program here at Sonoma State. Go for it. Don't let people put labels on you and say you cannot do it. Someone tried to do that to me, and I said, oh yeah, I'll show you. Yes? So, thank you.